I'm making this video in response to Rene, the German atheist. He has posted a link describing a sort of vaguely spiritual experience he had when he was a kid, when he was a young boy in Africa. And I figured it'd be easier to just make a little quick response to him than write 5,500 tweets explaining what happened. So, Rene, here is the deal. The experience that you described is common. It's a normal experience. Yes, it's called a spiritual experience. It's also called a sense of the numinous. It's a vaguely spiritual experience. It doesn't really have anything to do with any particular religious tradition. It's common. There's even a label for it in the scientific literature. It's reported by people all over the world, all sorts of different religious traditions, a common experience. One way of calling it is a sense of the numinous. There are generally 8 criteria associated with. Yours sounds like a much milder version than most people report. Jane Goodall had a bunch of them, for example. People, all different religious traditions have experiences like that. The commonalities of the experience, a sense of oneness, a sense of connectedness to nature, or if you're actually in a faith when you have those experiences, people say, they'll connect it directly to their faith. My sister had an experience like that. I've talked about it in my videos a lot. Prior to her becoming a Christian, I had 2 of them prior to me becoming a Christian, probably more prior to me becoming a Christian, but 2 I remember and I've mentioned in my videos. One where I was in Westminster Abbey, and I just had like a sense of it's hard to explain, but very similar to what you described. And then one where I was in Italy in Westminster Abbey. I was with my now wife. When I was in Italy, I had an Austrian girlfriend at the time. And there was like this Catholic procession that walked by me, and I got this sense of wow, this sort of wonder and awe is, I guess, the best way to describe it. Now, one of the things that they describe, they call it ineffable, which means hard to put into words. So the experience that you described is ineffable. A sense of peace, a sense of unity with all being, a sense of oneness and awe. It's a very common spiritual experience, vaguely spiritual experience. Believe it or not, though, Rene, it is where religion is born. It is what religion is born from. Yeah, so you, the little German atheist, had a kind of almost religious experience back when you were a little kid. Most people they have more powerful experiences than the one you report. When the people are actually reporting, they're a lot more powerful, but it's the same idea. And if you want to see it as just a brain chemistry thing, they're tripping out on the same brain chemicals, but they're just a lot more intense. Now, most people who have those experiences, okay, that's where religion is born. Imagine you're 20 years old having the experience. It's more intense, and there's no religious traditions to be had. So that's where what I call religion, the birth of religion, is a ritualized connection to the ineffable. So you have this experience of kind of oneness with creation or something, and you can't put it into words, so you try to ritualize your connection. You make poems and write and make paintings, and that's where religion comes out of. It starts off that's why it started off all sort of vaguely pantheistic. So, you had a kind of mini little tiny religious experience. No, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're now going to believe in God, but that's most people who have experiences that's what started pointing me towards. Eventually I became a Christian. Those are the experiences I had, very similar, that made me go, yeah, there probably is a God. So, other than that, no, it's totally normal. It's not necessarily something that you need to decide upon one way or the other, that's God or no God, but that's very similar to experiences that I've had. It's a very common thing. So, there you have it, Rene. You're pretty much Christian. If you become a Christian because of it, just make sure you tithe. Tithe, and you tithe to me directly. I can give you my bank statements, and you tithe directly to Craig Reed at Craig Reed Holy, and if that's going to turn you into a Christian, I'm all for it. Just give me the money, Rene. That's really all I'm in here for. That's really all it's all about. So there you have it, kids. My little conversation with German atheist Rene. Mass ended. Go in peace. Amen.